Yeah. Live and direct from the new planet Earth, where pandemics are plenty, but the girls are still pretty in fashionable dresses. You know what I'm talking about. Where ignorance is bliss, and you ain't gotta give a about no code.
Tell me who unleashed our animal instinct. Why the op standing there tickle pink? Have a drink, no more liquor. Got a poison. One thicker, one gangster, one hole in the desert for the snitch. What happened to the cold?
What's up, y'all, and welcome back into the Franchise Podcast, your podcast for all things Las Vegas. Today we're about to be covering all things Raiders, UNLV in the Pac-12, Mountain West, and of course, we're bringing back the meme machine. You already know what you guys probably could already guess what we bring in. I am your host, Nashawn Zaragoza. Back is Joe Rigo and TQ. And I like TQ's shirt, so we gotta give a moment.
Hello,
a moment
Westy.
of silence for the shirt.
Come on, man. Hello, Westy. My boy Quick Shot hooked me up. San Diego to LA. Got Pac on there. It's a special day today, so I had to pull out the Pac shirt. We got some Pac-ish things to talk about a little later in the show.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Take that.
That's right, Daddy.
All right, guys, let's get into some action. It is officially week 4 of football, right? Aren't you guys excited? It's been an exciting season so far, a lot of surprising games, but we got to take it back to week 3. Raiders, Panthers. Raiders fall short against the Panthers, 36-22. It was a lot taking place in that game, guys. A lot of drama going on. TQ, I'm going to start with you since you representing the Raiders today.
Yes, indeed.
We're going to talk about everything going on in this organization, and we'll break it down for all of our viewers. But first, I want to ask you, did the Raiders underestimate the Panthers?
You know, I don't know if it was an underestimation, but I could be wrong, but I'm going to say this. Remember when the Raiders first moved to Las Vegas and the things we used to hear about the possible distractions?
Yeah.
Right? So whether it's distractions or not, I don't believe they're a team that needs to be celebrated like they were celebrated after that Ravens win. I believe that the Raiders started feeling themselves a little bit because they went off and pulled off the impossible. And when I was watching that Baltimore game, I'm like, okay, this is an outlier. This is not Baltimore football. Baltimore religiously is one of the least penalized teams in the league. They constantly play defense, and they run the ball well. None of those things happened in the game against the Raiders. They were penalized like crazy. They couldn't run the ball, and they didn't play any great defense.
Their special teams suck too.
And that sucked too. And ain't John Harbaugh
the best
special teams man?
Yeah.
So, it gave me cause to pause when we won that game. And all week, I mean, everybody was just slurping the silver and black like we was Kansas City or somebody. And we ain't won nothing, man. What we did was we went to the East Coast for the first time in years and pulled off a win in the early game. And that's it. So leading up to this game, when Carolina made that change from Bryce Young to the red rifle, I'm like, has anybody ever paid attention to Andy Dalton's stats and then Andy Dalton's stats versus the Raiders? He goes from Andy Dalton to Joe Montana when he sees the silver and black, and that's what he did again. And I think the Raiders were right for it. They weren't expecting it. They thought that they were going to come out there and win the game. It was a big home game. The place was packed. It was the first home game of the season. And I think they just kind of ran into a buzzsaw. But what that buzzsaw did was expose some things. And some of those things that were exposed, a lot of what AP talked about, come on, man, let's be real. We saw it in the offseason a little bit.
Yep.
So That's my assessment on it, man. I hope that, now one thing I do expect because of what we saw last year, this is a learning experience. If there's anybody that could rally the troops and get them back on track, I feel like Antonio Pierce is the man to do it, and that coaching staff. They've been in this position before. So as much as the Baltimore game I feel was an outlier, this Raiders team is better than what we saw Sunday.
I swear to God, for a minute, I thought I was watching Remember the Titans when you said, we ain't won nothing, man. We ain't done nothing, man.
For real. Nothing at all, bro. Perfect.
Honestly, I was surprised that they came out and played so poorly because I thought that they had a little more cohesiveness and I thought there a little more consistency. The thing that for me wasn't surprising when they lost, considering how many times they've been in this situation.
Yeah.
I mean, let's go back to even I think it was 4 times where teams changed quarterbacks against the Raiders. They're 4-0, and then you had a 5th with Jeff Saturday being the Colts coach.
Yep.
Go back to Baker Mayfield with the Rams. Literally pulled up out of his car, started the game, and beat him on Thursday Night Football.
Yeah.
So that was surprising in that regard. The thing is, the Raiders are a team that, at the end of the day, they are the same as their head coach. They're gonna be what he is, and AP is consistent. I don't think they underestimated them. I just think they didn't know what to expect on offense because what you've seen with Dave Canales' offense with Bryce Young looked nothing like the offense with Andy Dalton. Pressing the ball down the field, being able to run the ball with Chuba Hubbard getting over 100 yards in the game. I mean, if anything, I was surprised at how bad the defense played. I mean, 3 straight games of allowing a 100-yard rusher.
Yeah.
Jack Jones, I mean, I don't think there's 2 bigger fans of Jack than me and you in the city, Squeeze.
Real talk.
We've known Jack since high school, and Jack had probably his worst game as a Raider.
Yeah.
And then on the other side, the Raiders' offensive line has been trash all year.
Hot garbage.
And there's no running game. So for me, I look at it like that should have been a game you could right your wrongs. But they weren't able to do that. So
what do you attribute this offensive struggle to? To me, I feel like Getsy is trying to put a square peg into a round hole. I don't feel like we saw this all in the offseason. We saw this in training camp. Offensive line can't hold up. They can't hold up the bull rush. They can't hold up the speed rush. So why do they need to be engaged for so long?
Well, okay, but being engaged, as well as I do, like being engaged, that's pass blocking, but run blocking is one-on-one.
Right.
You're not even moving people to make a hole.
Right.
Now, Colton Miller, he missed all of training camp.
Yes.
So, okay, there's that. Then
seems a bit out of shape too.
Yeah. Then you have JPJ who got some time, but coming off a concussion and some sickness, you're working him slowly back in. White, trash. Like dude has been playing so bad at left guard.
Bro, Matador.
Andre James has got a new contract. He hasn't played well. Parham has been the best and most consistent offensive lineman. And I talked to some fans and Hammer, for instance, for Hammer's house, and Hammer suggested that, and Joe Goldberg too, both kick Parham to center. And
he can play it?
Yeah, because he fits the size wise, and then go with the younger guys at guard. So Getsy's gonna get heat. To me, that's low hanging fruit though. To me, that's low hanging fruit because, you want them to run the ball. That's your head coach said we're going to be a team that plays good defense and controls the clock by running the ball. So you want to run, but you can't do that. And then the Raiders traditionally want to get the ball downfield. People want to see, hey, he's got to throw the ball downfield. Well, that takes time to do it. So when he tries, he doesn't have the time. So it's easy to blame Luke Getsy, but I think at some point, fans have to look at the players and point the finger where the blame belongs to the players. And the person that does not belong, having his finger fans pointing on him, is Gardner Minshew. He's been the best Raider player offensively all season, him or Brock Bowers.
Look, man, I was down on this, and I've been saying it. I was down on Gardner Minshew. When they pulled him in, I thought they was bringing him in as a backup. That was fine. But to name him the starter, I was down on that from day one. Gardner Minshew has played a lot better than what I expected. And he's played well, not because of the offense, but in spite of our offense. And, you know, the thing about Luke Getsy, yeah, it's low-hanging fruit. You know why? Because we look like the Bears last year. That's why it's low-hanging fruit. So you're gonna have to do something, man. You got to change something up because this is not working. The Zamir White experiment. Look, I'm not on the train yet. I wasn't on the train last year when everybody just said, "Oh yeah, we don't need Josh. He's the man."
We miss Josh Jacobs right about now.
Nah, I think he's fine where he is.
Goodness, man. Like, it's got to be some changes in between. Again, you just spoke about how guys have missed time. Guys haven't had a lot of time to play together. Some of this is going to have to change on the fly, we understand. But you got to try something. This ain't working. We're going to have to run the ball. This is the AFC West. We're going to have to run the ball.
Tell me this, Joe, right? Because out of anyone, you're the one that has the most, I would say, knowledge in regards to Luke Getsy. He spent a decent amount of his time with the Packers, also with the Bears. And him getting hired with the Raiders was a big question for me, at least, right? Because if you're firing a coach after 2 years, and now the Raiders are giving an opportunity, what really can change, right? There's only so much that a culture can change as far as a coach. I think it fits more better when you say culture change for players, right? I want to know your opinion with that because a lot of Raider Nation is very angry at Luke Getsy and believes that he should be fired or he should be replaced. With his background and knowing the knowledge of that, what is your opinion with it now?
One, the Raider Nation's only pissed because it's not Cliff Kingsbury. Because that got leaked that he was going to accept the job. And because it's a bigger name, they wanted Cliff because they thought with Cliff comes Caleb or Jaden. And let's be clear, Tayshaun Reed from The Athletic tweeted this, and I couldn't agree more because it's 100% the God's honest truth. Tayshaun Reed.
So you said Tayshaun.
Or Tayshaun.
Yeah.
Tayshaun Reed from The Athletic tweeted this out, and it's the God's honest truth. No team in the top 3 were trading the picks, no matter what you offered them.
Period, point blank.
So the whole, we could have traded all that. No, you couldn't have. Washington was not giving up anything to pass up on Jaden Daniels. So let's move on from that now. So
if you watched Monday Night Football last night, you should know why they wasn't giving up.
Exactly. And then when you look at Getsy, look, Chicago right now isn't much better than what they were the last 2 years with Justin Fields and the group that was there. And the thing is, it's 3 games into the season. Like this offense wasn't that good last year. That's why they made changes. And now
Were they better than they are right now?
At the end of last year to right now?
Yes. But that's the point.
But the next point is it's 3 games into a season. They're not going to fire someone 3 games into a season.
No, I don't think, well, whoever's calling for people to be fired already, that's just being delusional. If anybody needs to leave the team, it's somebody that wears a helmet. It ain't somebody with headphones on right now.
Exactly. And with Getsy, look, the dude's off when he was with Green Bay, and he was basically, he was the OC, but he was also like considered like the passing game coordinator. They put up big numbers. Yes, quarterback was different, and I get it. He goes to Mississippi State, OC there, they put up big numbers. Comes back for a year, then ends up in Chicago. And at the end of the day, your players make coaches. Coaches don't make players. How many times we've seen really good players make someone look that's dumb as dirt look like they're the smartest coach in the world, and then those players leave?
But that works. That goes both ways. That goes both ways. You said Green Bay, and you said Mississippi State, right?
See.
And then you go to the Bears and the Raiders. What's the difference?
Organizations?
Offensive line at Green Bay, offensive line at Mississippi State. No offensive line with the Bears, no offensive line with the Raiders.
But I thought we said going into this, the most solid group for the Raiders going into the year was the offensive line.
That ain't happening.
So again, is that Luke Getsy's fault that the offensive line got worse somehow? Or
No,
guys got injured?
No, what I'm saying is he has shown in his career what he can do with a good offensive line and what he does with a bad one. So the point that I'm saying is he's stuck with the offensive line that he has right now. Are you going to remain stuck in this system when you know that they can't play it? Or do you believe that they're still learning and they're going to pick up on it?
I still think there's a learning curve, and I will say this.
After all of this training camp, mini camp,
Yeah.
OTAs, all of this,
Absolutely.
they still learning it.
Yeah, absolutely. They're still, because how many, Colton Miller wasn't out there all training camp.
Right.
JPJ wasn't out there all training camp.
Right.
Guys missed time.
They did.
And your quarterback wasn't getting all the reps with the one, so now there's still a timing issue that you're trying to catch up on.
Right.
Okay? The other thing is this. Most Steph said it best. How do you have high expectations and have no patience?
Yeah, good point.
Like, let's be real about this.
And we've been saying this from the beginning, though. We've been saying it. Like, I didn't see us as a playoff team this year.
I did. And I still think there's time.
I don't.
But if you're looking at it from a fan perspective, right? Of course they have no patience. It's been years and years of, all right, playoff team.
Yeah.
Oh, they got, you know what I mean? Like switching in and out of players. Like it's just like they're tired. They're tired of losing. They're tired of seeing their favorite team lose and going to Allegiant Stadium where it's the highest priced tickets that there possibly is.
Facts.
Probably $200 just to sit in a nosebleeder.
Yeah.
They're upset.
Yeah,
They're mad.
good point.
So how can you ask for patience for a silver and black bleeding fan base?
I mean, what else you gonna do? What are you gonna do? If you're not Raider Nation, if you're not gonna have patience with the team, what are you gonna do? You gonna boycott? What, you just not gonna go and get filled up with silver and black margaritas on Sundays? What are you gonna do? You gonna not watch them on TV? You ain't gonna do nothing. You're just gonna be mad until they get better. So the whole point is to try to get them better. How do we do the best that we could do? Look, that place was loud at the beginning of the game on Sunday.
And it's going to be loud again on Sunday,
It's
this
gonna be
upcoming Sunday with the
loud
Browns.
again. So, players, I'm speaking directly to the people who wear silver helmets. It's on y'all. Period. Pull it together some kind of way. Everything that you asked for, you got. You got the coach you wanted. All right? They went out, they made big moves in the offseason. Brought in the type of players that we have been needing for years. Come on, man. It's gonna take some time. We have to understand that it wasn't a complete rebuild, but it was definitely a reboot. And another thing we have to understand, when we're looking at our defense, that Malcolm Kuntz loss is a big loss. Mm-hmm. It was having Kuntz playing the type of season that he played last year that made the prospect of Tyree Wilson even just being close to what they thought he was, a good rotational defensive lineman, and the Christian Wilkins pickup. We felt that took us over the top, not because of Max. We know what we're getting out of Max. It was because of what we got out of Kuntz. Now Marcus Epps has gone down. So we talked about it after training camp. We was impressed with our secondary.
100%.
Right?
Yep.
Now you lost a piece of it. So we can't do nothing but have patience. We cannot expect to be as good as we thought we were going to be on defense with Kuntz being gone for the year.
I mean, I'm gonna say, Gerald Alexander, GA, you know, you're my boy. I've known you very long time. Safeties coach for the Raiders. Pumalu, that's your guy now. I know you're gonna get him right. If I have any faith in any coach on that staff other than Edgar Bennett, it's GA squeezing. You've seen it firsthand at camp, and you know why.
Absolutely.
So I fully believe that that's going to be okay. Here's the thing. Spillane hasn't been playing like Spillane. He's missed some tackles. Okay? Divine Diablo, I think most Raider fans are glad that he didn't play last game because he's played like dog doo-doo.
Yeah.
Okay? So, and then again, like go back to what we said at the beginning of the segment, Jack last game did not play well.
No,
Now,
he didn't.
the thing is you got your Corey and Bennett playing lights out on one side. Nate Hobbs playing well, in his role. I think Merrick needs to step up a little bit.
Yeah, because he's been quiet.
And he's taking a step back from last year. And I think too, with Max missing some snaps from last game, Howie Long said it best. You have to save him from him sometimes.
Yeah, he shouldn't play.
There's one of those where Okay, you're just coming in on third down. I've seen plenty of times with Reggie White, the great Reggie White, be injured. And it's like, you know what, he's only coming in on third and long or some pass rushing downs.
Yeah.
Because there's no reason to keep running them out there. Derek Thomas was like that. LT was like that. There's guys that have been like that just until you get right. It's a high ankle sprain. This could be a 6-week or longer injury.
Yeah.
It's probably the worst injury to come off of if you're
And it's
playing.
mad painful. It hurts. It hurts bad.
And
So-
for a dog like Max,
Yeah.
I mean, we're gonna know he's gonna want to gut it out.
But he's a shell of himself, man. As good as he is, like we can't do anything about an injury, and that's a good point. That's the type of player that you have to save from himself, because you do not want, when you are playing injured, man, your body overcompensates, right? You put more weight, you put more pressure on the other side, and that's unnatural. So you risk injury to the other side, a more severe injury, trying to overcompensate, and you can't help it. It's just what the mind and the body does. So that's a good point, man. It's like if Max in this condition, with Kuntz being gone, I'd rather sit him down myself and get him right. Because when he's right, it'd have been a whole lot different yesterday.
He's right.
Yeah.
I want to talk about a viral comment that AP said. He said, some guys are making business decisions, and we'll make business decisions going forward. You guys already stated the players that you think need to improve. But from an overall grand scheme of things, Joe, what needs to improve? How can the Raiders approach the Cleveland Browns this upcoming Sunday at Allegiant Stadium?
They have to do what they did at the end of last year. Play like AP's job is on the line. If they look at Mark Davis caught a lot of hell for not hiring Rich Bisaccia because all the players wanted him. Well, okay, I didn't listen to my players that time, and it may have set us back because I hired Josh McDaniels and Zeke.
Oh, it definitely set us back.
But he hired their guy now.
Yeah.
And look at what's happening through the first 3 games. I said after the first 2 games, hey, they're 1-1 like we thought they would be. Didn't matter how they got there, they're there. But they should have been 2-1 going into this game. With as bad as Deshaun Watson's playing, could probably be 3-1. Now, that's not the case. Don't use crown over spilled milk. But 2-2, it keeps you in the hunt for the division. And as bad as the Chiefs have been playing, and they've been winning, but they haven't been playing well, the Raiders aren't out of it. But these guys, they wanted us to be a better effort, a better attention to detail. There has to be doing the little things, tackling, communicating, blocking, giving your quarterback time to complete a pass, period.
That's it. Mm-hmm. That's it. That's the bottom line. The man needs some time, man. I keep getting into this conversation with people about the type of receiving core that we have, right? As good as Gardner Minshew has played, it's the kind of receivers. Our receivers are good. They're not fast.
Trey Tucker's fast.
Okay, Trey Tucker's fast, absolutely. But when it comes down to 1 and 2, I would say Trey Tucker's 3 or 4.
3, yeah, I
Right.
agree.
And one is
Devontae, Jacoby, they get separation off of superb route running, right? Meaning you need a guy that understands timing and space on the field and where your guy likes to have the ball getting out of his break. Gardner Minshew is a gunslinger, man. And at the end of the day, honestly, I wish he would sling it more. Go ahead and just take the risk because we already know.
We don't take the risk for a ton of interceptions.
Well, that's him. That's what we brought here and paid $15 million a year. We know that's what it is. He's a Brett Favre type dude. I'm not comparing him, but I'm just saying it's feast or famine with this type of quarterback.
Okay.
But he has the ability to make a big play when a play breaks down. But that ability is going to frustrate people like Devontae and Jacoby, man, because of the kind of receivers there are. It's just a mismatch, and I just feel like Getsy is going to have to change some things to bring his system closer to the kind of players that he has right now, even if that's temporarily. But something is going to have to change because it's just a lot of mismatched stuff going on. And we got Myles Garrett coming to town next week, man.
Maybe his foot is he has a foot issue.
Right, but he ain't out.
He had an MRI today. It's questionable right now. There's no, and I'll say this. Look, there's no bigger Devontae Adams fan other than his family here in the city. There's none.
You're him.
That's
100%.
my guy. Been my guy since Fresno State, Green Bay. Roll with him, right? Devontae can't drop easy passes like he has. He's had a couple drops, and that's not like Tay. To me, best receiver in the league. As far as in person, the best receiver I've seen play in person. So I didn't see Rice play in person. Well, Sterling Sharp, but right there. But Tay is that guy, and I know he's hard on himself for that. But those drops, and if it's a second down and 10, and you drop it in 7 yards, well, now it goes from 3rd and 3 or less to 3rd and 10.
Muscle memory, creatures of habit.
Yeah.
This is what the best athletes are, right? When you miss a whole camp, what do you expect? There are other receivers that missed a whole camp on the other side of the bay. I'm not gonna even say no names right now. Y'all know who I'm talking about. Dropping balls. Come on, man.
He ain't dropped the bag.
Go to camp. Yeah, they ain't dropped the bag.
Right,
They
that's
dropped
a
the
good
ball.
one.
And listen, man, I understand you get to a certain point in your career, you feel like camp is redundant, you feel like you don't need it. The team needs you at camp. You need to be at camp, if at all possible. Now, if it's something going on, that's okay. You having a baby, fine, I get it. The wife don't stay in labor for 2 months. You know, you just got to come to camp, man. Period. Everybody, I ain't just talking to Tay. I'm just saying everybody. There are a lot of things that I set and was able, because of the setup in this camp in Costa Mesa, as opposed to what it normally is, we were a lot closer to the action and we could move around a little bit.
Yeah.
The type of coaching that was going on, we was impressed. Do
Yeah.
you remember how impressed we were just listening to, like, everybody should have been there. Even if they was injured, even if everybody should have spent some time there. And I honestly believe that if Colton would have been there, when did JPJ got hurt in camp?
Who?
Because he was there, the rookie.
I think he got worked towards the end.
Towards the end of camp, right? Yeah, like, camp's got to be full, man. A lot of things happen in camp, especially when you got a new staff coming in, you got a new coach coming in, you're trying to turn the corner. Like, missing camp ain't it.
Again, it goes to what we said at some point in this first part of the segment. Gotta have patience, Raider Nation. Unfortunately, you gotta have patience.
Been saying it for weeks, actually. Sorry, it is what it is. I don't see the playoffs this year. I didn't see the playoffs this year at all from the beginning. I'm not tripping because I understand how much of a hole was dug for us by Josh McDaniels and co. I understand that. And when you're trying to make this much of a change and you're trying to switch things and you're trying to install a culture somewhere, that just don't happen in one off season, man. Like, it just doesn't. So this team has been losing for a long time. And for us, you know, we Raider Nation, we're very robust. You know what I'm saying? I get it. But we got to be realistic at the same time. And I hope that ownership has patience with AP, because I still believe he's the man for the job. I still believe he has the respect of the locker room and will continue to have it. And I think he's gonna clean some things up. Somebody that's played in his position, right? He's had the green dot.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Somebody that's played in his position understands the inner workings of things. He is watching you with a different eye than most people are. He knows when the effort ain't there. He knows when you're not locked in. And it was some players Sunday that weren't locked in. If I would say anything about Tay, I understand the frustration.
Hell yeah.
But I wish he would just keep his helmet on. Because I swear it seemed like every week when he's pissed off, the camera finds him and you can see that he's pissed off.
You know what?
Man.
You know what though? I know we're gonna switch gears in a couple minutes, but I want to say this when it comes to Devontae, and I think he had a standard in Green Bay. He learned and practiced at a certain standard with one of the greatest of all time throwing him the ball, And that's what he's accustomed to, that standard. And coming to Vegas, unfortunately, even with Carr, that being his homeboy, and then Garoppolo and AOC and whoever else was a quarterback, now Minshew, that standard's different. And I believe, if you're used to having that standard, you're trying to elevate your teammates to that standard.
Yeah.
And they're just not there yet. For whatever reason, they're just not there. I believe people in his room are getting there. I think Jacoby Myers, Trey Tucker, I see Brock Bowers, Michael Mayer. Those guys are at that standard. They're getting to that standard because they've adapted to his leadership. I think Minshew is more in line. I think AOC is trying, but I think Minshew is kind of in line with it. But that standard that he has, I think that the Raiders offense needs to just jump on tape and say, hey, we're going to follow your standard. You said you lead us, and we'll follow. That has to happen. That's why he's here.
It's going to be easier to follow if you're at camp. I'm just saying, man. I'm just saying. We know how this goes, man. We've been on teams before. Like, you, as the leader, you set the stage. And unquestionably, I don't care what they say about Justin Jefferson or Jamar Chase or any of the rest of them. That's the best receiver in the league.
Facts.
He's the best receiver in the league, period. Mentally, athletically, route running, as a professional, he's the best in the league. So it's about, if there's a standard, you're the one bringing the standard. So when you're not around, and it wasn't a standard before you were here, what happens when the teacher leaves the classroom?
We acting ass.
We act the ass. This is Las Vegas. If he ain't there, they gonna act the ass. That's just kind of what it is until that culture changes. And that takes a while. I believe that AP is trying to change it. I believe that Tay needs it changed sooner than later because he wants to win a Super Bowl. And I understand the frustrating position that both of them are in. And you know, I think that there needs to be some changes made on this team at some point because I believe that those two believe that there has been a lack of effort from a couple of players on the team.
Don't disagree with that.
Agreed. I'm sure you're feeling a type of way because two-team Terry, both his teams is
Trash.
struggling at the moment.
Trash.
Coming up
I got
next,
all
guys.
losses. Just losses. Losses everywhere. College, pro, L's.
Except UNLV, which we will be talking a little bit more about UNLV coming up next, guys. Stay tuned. We're going to be discussing UNLV with their win over Kansas, their next game coming up against Fresno State, and also the drama Pac-12 Mountain West Conference. Stay tuned.
This segment was brought to you by National College Resources Foundation, the College Expo. NCRF is a 501c3 nonprofit educational enhancement organization whose mission is to curtail the high school dropout rate and increase degree and/or certificate enrollment among underserved, underrepresented, at-risk, low-resource, homeless, and foster students. For more information, visit www.thecollegeexpo.org today.
What's up, y'all? Welcome back into the Franchise Podcast. Let's cover all things UNLV. And Joe, I want to start with you since you cover them.
Let's do it.
Specifically. All right, UNLV wins against Kansas 49-36. This was just before their bye this week, or last week they were on a bye, so the week before that. That was a very enticing game.
It was. Look, that game against Kansas, I started that week immediately following the Utah Tech game. We call it the Rebel Revenge Tour, is now in full steam ahead. And that's because obviously they lost to Kansas in the Guaranteed Bowl. And at the end of that game, there was a scuffle. And then they have Fresno State this week, and they lost to Fresno State in heartbreaking fashion last year. Seneca dropped the pass in the end zone, but there was also a no penalty in the end zone on Ricky, a series before that. And then, Boise State's coming up in a couple weeks, and, Mountain West Championship game. So the revenge tour is in full effect. The first step was Kansas, though. And to me, what that game showed me something. That game showed me when you allow 3 points in the second half to Kansas, who has one of the more explosive offenses, at least they did last year. That showed that this defense is for real. And a lot of the things that happened, there was a big run by Jalen Daniels, which it was a simple thing where a call was made and one of the linebackers got skinny, came down before instead of widening out. He got confused. That led to a 30-yard run. Those two little steps, those are things that equal big plays. But you look at the offense is humming. The offense is playing really good. They're able to control everything at the line of scrimmage, and they did that against Kansas. And there's a lot of effort. And what I like about that game, what I found interesting was the ball started bouncing UNLV's way.
Yeah.
There was a time where a ball would be on the ground and 3 or 4 guys would fall on it, it would squirt out, and next thing you know, the other team would get it. Well, this time UNLV recovered it. So that's preparation. That's good, just having some good fortune. But when you have a 9-minute drive in the fourth quarter, that's dominating, and that's what you want to do. So UNLV Kansas, I think that gave the guys a big boost in terms of confidence. They already had it, but I think now they're really, I don't say they're feeling themselves because there's still a chip on their shoulder, but there is a era of like, you know what, like we control what we want to do on the football field.
Yeah, early on, I only went to a couple of practices during camp, but it was easy to see that they were stronger and faster on both sides of the ball. Both lines, I felt, were stronger and faster. And I think you could see that in that Kansas game. If I got to pick anything apart, I wish Sluka would have a little more patience, let plays develop a little bit. There were a couple of times when you got guys open and you taking off the run when them could have been touchdowns, man. So I think that, give it a little while, trust your offensive line a little more because they held up well in that game. But, he was taking off. And fine, whatever works, whatever wins. But I just feel like they got a receiving core and they can get away from people. So you just got to be able to put the ball on them. That being said, you already know where I'm going. That defense, man. I love when they play with their hair on fire. And that's what it looked like. And I feel like if they're going to play defense like that, especially that second half, they're going to do well in the Mountain West this year.
I don't disagree. I mean, this is a team that is senior heavy, 30 players that are seniors. That means there's 30 new players coming in next year. So if you're a guy that wants to come in and play for a winning team, a winning coach, keep an eye on UNLV because there's going to be some open spots. But it also shows the depth. I mean, this team's depth. I mean, somebody goes down or whatever the case may be, then it's next man up. And they've done a really good job identifying players who fit their system, fit what they want to do, but also from a character standpoint. If there's somebody whose character doesn't align with what's going on, Coach Odom's not the type of guy to keep him around. He'll tell him to kick rocks, and I respect that.
Yeah,
because it's his program, not anybody else's.
That's it.
So I love the fact that they're winning. It's fun. 3 wins, ranked number 23 in the coaches poll. If they beat Fresno State on Saturday, they could be a top 25 team. But this Fresno State team is tough, man.
Yeah.
It's a tough team. Tim Skipper, man. Shout out to my boy T Skip. I love you, but this weekend, bro, I'm not. We're homies before the game and after the game, but during it, I'm when you get your ass whooped. And I got a couple guys on the team too, C.B. Lamar and Corey Foreman. So it's like 2 young men I've known since they were.
That's where Corey's at?
Corey's, yes.
At Fresno State?
Yes.
Oh, damn,
Yes.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so 2 young men I've known since youth football, and they're both playing for Skip. So look at this Fresno State team is playing fast and physical. Tedford did a great job as a culture getting them prepared for games.
Yeah.
They love playing for Skip. So it's a completely different vibe. These guys, I mean, literally fast. I watched 3 of their 4 games. Fast, physical, tough. They're going to try to run the ball. If it's me and I'm UNLV, their quarterback he's a good quarterback when he has time. I'm pressuring him because he's not as good when he doesn't have the time. So I'm looking for, I would, if I was Mike Shear, the Rebels D coordinator, I would definitely
Beat him up.
Yeah, but that offensive line is good. But I'm telling you, like that defense, them scam boogers can play. Like them scam boogers can play, man. Yeah. So, and there's a couple connections with T-Skip coming back. It was UNLV's D coordinator. J.D. Williams, who's the DB coach, passing game coordinator on the defensive side. Cornerback coach is coming back. He was with Tony as his initial cornerback coach. So there's a good amount of former Rebels, that's going to be on the field. So, it's going to be one of them games. I know some of the coaches this week are a little leery of talking to me just because of my relationship with everybody, but it's still all good because they know we here in Vegas. I'm a Rebel.
One thing to keep in mind, right, is we see the success of UNLV. It can become easy to get caught up in the noise and the success. And one thing that Barry Odom that caught my attention is that he showed them, this was after the Kansas game, a PowerPoint slide of rat poison, and to not get caught up in the poison, right? Don't get caught up in the noise and the hype, because yes, it feels good. It feels good to win, especially coming off. Now their offense was great last year, but their defense has improved, right? And Barry Odom said, stay where your feet are planted, right? And build off of that. TQ, how hard is it, right? You're an artist. It feels so good to get the praises and the accomplishments, but how do you not fall from that?
You know what? I was always told from the beginning, don't pay attention. And I started in music when I was a kid. So, it's retention. You're told that over and over again. And it's still hard to do. But as a young man, the ages of some of these guys, we were just talking about it with the Raiders, man. It's just, we live in a time where the news cycle, the sports news cycle is truly 24 hours. Mm-hmm. Like if you have a bad game, you cannot get away from the ridicule. If you have a great game, they will make you Bo Jackson overnight. Like it's nothing. So, I think that Coach Odom is on point, because a lot of this stuff these days is clickbait.
Yep.
I don't want to go into all of these algorithms and all this and that. But if somebody posts something about something and that post goes well, then the next person is going to come and jump on it and post the same thing, and over and over and over and over again. Next thing you know, everything in your feed is you being great. Then you come out thinking you're great when you're really not, and you have a trash game and everything changes. So I think it's about just trying your best to block out the noise and stay as even keel as possible. It's about the mirror check. It's been times when I've come off stage and I know I hit 3 bad notes. I know it for a fact, and it's driving me crazy. And I'm in my dressing room, and I'm in the back, and I got the meet and greet, and everybody, oh, TQ, that was so great. When I go in that bathroom and I look in the mirror and I say, you was trash tonight. You was trash tonight.
You know what I'm thinking of?
What?
The last time you sang the national anthem.
Oh my God!
He would not live it down. Like, I mean, it was. I don't know if it was IFB or what it was.
But it was COVID. I couldn't hear out of one of my ears for like 18 months, and I was not being truthful with myself. It goes to what I'm talking about right now. I wasn't being truthful with myself. I knew for a fact that there was a problem here, but I went on and tried it anyway.
Where'd you sing it at?
At Dodger Stadium. I'm just walking around afterwards, and you don't necessarily, and I'm saying to myself, no, that wasn't really that. But you got a headphone in your ear. It's a big echo. You in the middle, you got the speakers. It's just a weird acoustical thing going on anyway. But you got all these people, oh, you did great. I'm saying to myself, no, I didn't. Oof. I didn't do great. That was terrible.
That's tough to recover from.
The dude behind us was like, oh, you did so good, man. And we're talking, I could tell because he had talked to me and Trish and said, man, I missed that first note. And then we went, and then like the whole time during the game, he's seething about it.
Just upset.
And then we go to dinner with TT and everybody. And
I was ready to go home.
And he was just like, man, y'all, the whole way home, Trish is asleep in the front seat. I'm in the back seat. He's like, man, I fucking sucks singing and dancing. Man,
Yeah,
I
it's
missed that
terrible.
the whole way home. 3.5 hours from LA to Vegas.
Hey, I'm getting upset. Can you drop this, please? Can we move to another subject? Wasn't we talking about football?
Yeah.
Goodness.
But you know what? But to your point about Amir Check, the one thing about Coach Odoms, I don't think that he lets these guys get outside themselves. And I think he's very quick, and I know for a fact he's very quick. If someone came to him and said, "Whoomty whoom whoom," and he didn't like it, yeah, there's gonna be a resolution right then and there.
Yeah.
And no one would know about it until after the fact because he's classy like that. But this is the real world.
Yeah.
And Coach Odom, you know, he's successful at what he does because the players respect him and he's honest. He's honest with his players. He's honest with his coaches. He's honest with his team. And the thing is nowadays you don't see that a lot of that. So because he's preparing them, okay, we beat Kansas, great, but the game's over. So now what? Now what?
Yeah.
So we can't. The rat poison is a great analogy. We can't look at ourselves as we're like that because
Yeah.
we're not like that yet. We still got a ways to go. We're not qualified for a bowl yet. We're not playing for the Mountain West Championship. We're not winning the Mountain West Championship. We're not in the college football playoff.
It's cliche, but the bottom line is for UNLV, I guess it is for everybody, for them particularly. Look, man, stay locked in.
Yeah.
One game at a time. Period, point blank. One game at a time. Don't believe the hype. Don't listen. You guys, moving to our next subject, you got a lot going on around the program right now. The team needs to stay locked in. They got the man that'll keep them there. I'm not worried about that.
This section was brought to you by Coldwell Banker Premier Realty. Coldwell Banker is a service-driven, highly productive team of professional sales and support people who are dedicated to consistently providing superior real estate brokerage and related services, setting the industry standard of value and excellence.
Let's take it back to the beginning, guys. As you all know, the biggest news when it had first initially came out were the first 4 teams that were to get into the Pac-12. A lot of people were mad that UNLV was not chosen. Now it's 5. Tiki, I want to bounce back off to you. Did it surprise you at all?
It did. You know, we got the insider sitting right next to us, so we kind of get the news as it comes. I just couldn't understand, first and foremost, why there wasn't a merger before anything else. If we're looking at conference realignment, it's all about TV ratings, man. That's it. It's about who's going to watch this. So all of the big schools in the West are playing in East Coast and Midwest conferences. So you've taken all of those people in LA, those people in the Bay, up and down the coast, and you're now giving their teams early morning games on the East Coast, as opposed to them playing when everybody's asleep. That took a big chunk of the viewing audience away from the West. Mm-hmm. So with all the teams that are left, I would have figured they would have figured out a way to get together and merge to take advantage of the TV viewing population that's left. That being said, it took Joe to explain the landscape of all of this to me for me to get it a little better, because I couldn't see how UNLV could have been left out of that front 4. He's the expert. Let him explain it. And I think coming from you, the people will understand it a little better like I did.
When the Pac-12 quietly was deciding how they wanted to merge, because conversely, the Mountain West was going to try to steal Washington State from the Pac-12. Nobody knows that. But the Pac-12 hired a firm, and the firm did a listing. They numerically listed, here are the best out of the 12 in order. The first 4 were the first 4 taken. UNLV was 5th.
And that list was, when you say the best based on what?
Based on market share, success on the field, on the basketball court, stability and leadership, whether or not they can keep it quiet in the public.
Right.
All those things add up. And with the Board of Regents, well, it's not going to be quiet because regents talk and they're going to talk to whomever. They weren't sure if UNR had to come with UNLV, which they don't. UNLV left the WAC to come to start the Mountain West, and they left the conference before the WAC. And UNR wasn't with them, so that's not a problem. They have the votes anyway. But Colorado State, their education, all of them are higher in education except for Boise State. But Boise State has had more success on the football field than on the basketball court. So, and there's more stability within the administration. So because of that, those played roles, and those were key factors. Then the Pac-12 wanted to go and make this thing, because the only way they're going to get more media money, and we, like, to your point about media market share, is you go get Memphis, you go get Tulane, which is New Orleans, you go get South Florida, which is Tampa, and then you go get in the Texas market, San Antonio, where they control their market share outside the Spurs. So then you bring in, then the next group will come in, which will be UNLV, Utah State, and so on and so forth. Well, the Pac-12 overestimated the American Athletic Conference's hold on those 4 teams, and they decided to stay, which now put them in like, well, we got to go to the next man up. Well, UNLV already had an offer, same thing with Washington State, and same thing with San Jose State. They all 3 already had offers to join the Pac-12. So on Monday, over the weekend, Gloria Nevarez, the commissioner of the Mountain West, made Air Force and UNLV an offer, which was a one-time payment of $10+ million for each school, and then UNLV would get a higher percentage of the current TV deal and the TV deal. So to the point of Boise State gets $1.8 million more on this TV deal than anybody else in the Mountain West. That would have gone to UNLV plus a couple more. So I'm looking at probably in the $2 million range, right? So that would have been good money for UNLV to sign an MOU, which is a memorandum of memorandum operating whatever, whatever it is. Basically saying we're going to stay, provided that all 8 teams that are currently in the conference stay in it.
Right.
Well, Air Force was the first to say they were going to sign. Then some other schools. Utah State was waiting on UNLV. So when UNLV decided to stay, Utah said we're going to the Pac-12. Now that opens up the floodgates for everything else. Yeah. So as of Tuesday of the recording, UNLV is vetting and going through the process of the Pac-12 and whether or not to join the Pac-12 with Fresno State, San Diego State, Colorado State, Boise State, Utah State, Oregon State, and Washington State. And UNLV is lockstep with Air Force Academy, because if UNLV decides to leave and Air Force goes to the AAC or even goes to the Pac-12, one other school leaves the Mountain West, that conference can be dissolved. Right. And they've offered, and if that's the case, then the Pac-12 don't have to pay anybody. So the thing that I ask and I question is, if I'm the Pac-12, right, why don't I just bring along, you already got Utah State, and you presumably you're going to get UNLV. Why not just bring Air Force or New Mexico and San Jose State? If Air Force goes to the AAC, then you bring in New Mexico and blow the Mountain West up. You don't have to pay. You saves you almost $200 million in. Yeah. I don't understand why they wouldn't do that. If UNLV leaves and Air Force goes, the Mountain West is due $186 million, provided that the lawsuit that was filed today by the Pac-12 doesn't get upheld.
But don't you think, okay, like, yes, it can save money, right? It can conserve money. But the idea of going to the Pac-12, many would say it would be a step up of the Mountain West Conference. Would you agree with that?
In the past, but all this is the Mountain West plus Utah State, plus Oregon State and Washington State. Yeah. It's just changing the MW for a shield.
It's kind of like a status thing.
Yeah.
Right?
So, it's branding. And the bottom line is the Pac-12 is a better brand than the Mountain West.
Yeah.
And to your point, I thought initially a reverse merger would be the way to go. Look, I have had no dealings with the Pac-12's new commissioner. I can be clear by saying that. Yeah. But Gloria Nevarez is one of the sharpest people I've ever met. She used to be, I believe, the commissioner of the West Coast Conference before coming over here. She does everything by the book. She makes sure all her I's are dotted and T's are crossed. I am a big fan, and I'm very how she's handling everything is like a champ. So, but I was surprised the reverse merger, but then I got told Tuesday morning that there's a lot of beef between the Pac-12 and the Mountain West behind the scenes. So that's unlikely.
Well, that makes sense then.
So I want to talk about it. I want to talk about the beef, right, guys? The Pac-12 filed a lawsuit against the Mountain West, hoping to vacate the poaching fees that were a part of a scheduling agreement between the two leagues. Joe, since you are very informative in regards to this, is there any information you can give our viewers?
Essentially, they're saying that the Mountain West is contending that they knew that they couldn't steal people, the schools, and if they did, there was going to be a fee. They signed it. They're bad. You know, they're bad. But the Pac-12 is saying that it's almost like unconstitutional to have those fees. And the thing is, the Pac-12 is the group that they hired to represent them is the same group that 10 schools that left hired and beat Oregon State and Washington State. So they're versed in this. So I think this is an old Mexican stare down contest, Mexican standoff. Yeah. And somebody said that they think that this is just a way for either conference to kind of lower the fees and just settle on something. And because it all comes down to money.
Period, point blank.
Andrew Brandt's always right about that. There will be lawyers, and then it all comes down to money.
Period.
So there's that. Look, I think the big thing is this: what's not being talked about enough. Whether it was intentional or not, Eric Harper did a hell of a job because UNLV holds the cards to both
as of
conferences
right now.
as of Tuesday night.
Yeah.
He literally, if he says, "Hey, we're going to the Pac-12," the Mountain West is as good as dead. If he says that we're staying in the Mountain West, then the Pac-12 has to pivot to a Texas State or a Sacramento State or Eastern Washington, North Dakota State, and that would be the deal with the Mountain West as well. If you think about it, if UNLV State is a conference that consists of New Mexico State, UTEP, North Dakota State, maybe Montana State, Sacramento State, is that a better conference than going to the teams that's in the Pac-12? And maybe a San Jose State or an Air Force to come along with you? That's a question that you have to ask. What's best for the short and the long term? Because I believe the long-term play for UNLV, and there has to be proof of concept, not just hope and a prayer, is to get to the Big 12.
How long of a long term?
Look, if a grant of rights in the Pac-12 is 5 years through 2031, that if you have 5 years of showing you could compete and win in that conference, the Big 12 might come a calling if you do things the right way in your athletic department.
Number one, right thing, pay Barry Odom.
Facts.
That's it.
Period. Point blank.
So if
Pay the man.
If they got
Pay the man. Back up a Brinks truck and pay the man. You understand?
And I agree.
Man, we've been shooting this team for 5 years, man. We ain't seen nothing like this. Okay?
So
love Tony, love Marcus. All right? Love what they were trying to do. This guy's doing it.
if they took that $10 million, I'm thinking if I was the AD, right? They took that money from the Mountain West to stay. He's making 2 right now. I'm taking 2.5. So it was come out to for 4 years. Was that 9? Yeah, that's going to Barry's contract.
Saying, man.
And then we're making that extra money, so we're already making more money. But I'm making sure Barry stays. Look, Barry made it clear to us on the show that he loves this city. He said his wife loves this city. He believes that he can turn this into a national program.
Give the man the bag, UNLV. Give him the money.
It's time that they pay him, and I know it's only been a year. Tacking an extra year on his contract and upping the buyout is not giving the man a raise. Barry needs to get a raise. He needs to be locked in, and this comes down to relationships now, because if it's not going to come from a TV deal, then it has to come from donors and people.
Somebody.
And
somebody. If he has a season like we think he's going to have, and he eclipses on what he did last year,
yeah,
possibly wins the Mountain West title, wins a bowl game, somebody's coming to get him. Tomorrow's price is not today's price. I hope y'all understand that. And I hope all of this realignment and all of this stuff that we got going on
You know what I thought of?
is based on paying that man.
You know what I thought of? Remember the movie Draft Day?
Yeah.
You remember when Kevin Costner called him up and said, hold on, I want all my picks back. And then he goes, what else do we need? And they go, David Putney. and David Putney. What? Where did that come from? The price went up, you pancake eating mother.
Run the man his money, y'all. Run
Quick,
his money.
do it.
Y'all know who's not running no more?
Who's that?
No Diddy. All right, guys, I'm sorry. It's time for Meme Machine, and I already gave it away. It's coming up next. Stay tuned. Welcome back into the Franchise Podcast. And guys, yep, I gave it away. We about to talk about Diddy, TQ's favorite topic.
Oh my God.
Diddy is headed to jail. Last Tuesday, he is awaiting trial.
Man is in jail.
He's in jail.
Yeah.
I thought I told you that we won't stop.
TQ, I'm gonna let you go first with this one because this topic gets this man mad every single time.
Yeah, Playboy. Tell him, Playboy.
And it was gonna happen, right? They
Yes.
raided his home, as
Yes.
far as I know.
Yes.
Are you an oil user?
Nope, not my preference. I mean, man, look, we laughing and we joking about it, but it really ain't a joking matter. This dude has been ruining people's lives for the last 30-something years, man. And it's like, he's gonna get what's coming to him. It's just as simple as that. Look, I believe in God. I believe God is the karma engineer. Do you? And he's petty with it. And when you run around doing the devil's work like this man has done for so long, it eventually catches up to you. And what I've always wanted to see was, for a person like him, public humiliation. Notice I didn't say torture.
I thought I was going to see you squirm.
Yeah, I'm gonna leave that out. I'm gonna leave it out.
Oh.
But humiliation and to the type of people who allow power and the pursuit of power to basically create a monster inside of them, we should be able to see them suffer, right? I honestly don't see this going too much further. I don't think this is gonna be news for too much longer. I'm not gonna sit up here and say why on the show, but
I'm curious.
I don't see this being.
I think we're all curious to know the why.
Yeah, well, we'll see. If what I think happens, I'll tell you then.
He's gonna snitch on everybody.
I
mean, come on now. You
think
won't
that-
snitch on everybody to get your sentence a little shorter, if that is possible.
If he's around.
Thank you.
Okay.
I don't think it's necessary.
about that.
I don't think it's necessary to snitch on anybody because his house was raided.
He needs to snitch.
But think
All
about
these
this.
dang celebrities that are perverts.
But
they
think
need to
about
come out
this.
to light.
There's a whole lot of cameras in that house. What do you think they was in there for? Why you got to snitch on what people can watch?
They already got all them cameras in the hard drives. Like, they already know. They got rooms.
He don't have to say a word. They can sit there and watch it all. They can see everybody.
You're right.
That's why I don't think this is going to be news for too much longer, because there's too many people involved that don't want to be involved. And
So-
they can make things happen from anywhere.
So there's a report that came out on Tuesday that Diddy said that he's refusing to eat the food inside the jail because he's scared they're going to poison it.
Amen.
This is the same jail. I believe this is the same jail that R. Kelly is in, as a matter of fact. I'm not joking. Like I know, like we joke about it. I joke about it a lot. But like literally, I believe this was the same jail. This is the same jail that
Jeffrey Epstein.
Yeah, he was in, and his wife. I think, you know, and it's one of the worst jails in New York. So they call it like hell on earth. So I mean, he's literally, look. The bottom line is this.
That's crazy.
It is, and this is a guy that I could say in my teens, before I got into the entertainment industry and getting in radio and stuff, like, I like Diddy. I was like, man, this dude like to party. I did. No, I'll explain. He's the dude that like to party. He's having a good time. Like I was like, yeah, that's cool. But then as you get in and then you start to hear things, perceptions change. And it was like, damn, like this dude is really like that. Like, ugh.
Yeah.
And I keep going back, and I'm not going to say what it is, but we had a conversation, TQ and I. We went to the USC UNLV game at the Coliseum about 4 years ago, and 4 or 5 years ago. And we're driving back from there. We're stopping off at one of my boys' polo parties in Pomona, and somehow it got brought up. And the conversation we had and we had never really talked about it before. And just for us to have that conversation and share things, one and one started to make two. And I was like, yeah, this dude is a pervert. And then what he did to women, I mean, not just Cassie, but Kim Porter and the women that he left in his wake, just sexually assaulting them and abusing them.
It wasn't just women.
Well, I'm not going down that road yet.
All right.
You know what I'm saying?
Too.
Yeah,
like that, just, you know, you never put hands on a woman. Ever. And then you got the men, like, and the young kids. Now, this one his home, like, that shit ain't right. So whatever place in hell this dude needs to go, so be it.
I don't want him to go there too fast, though. I've been around the man numerous times, right? I produced 2 artists that were signed to him.
Did he get your booty?
Out of your fucking mind. I almost incriminated myself.
I'm sorry. I had to do it.
Ooh, listen, it was 2 times I was sitting in the studio, literally right behind his head, hand on that thing, ready. Could have just right there, easy, done. But the bottom line is, what I'm getting at is, just on a regular, simple human level, I never seen him treating people right. I never seen him treat the people that work for him, the people that were around him, people in his circle with any type of respect. That's number one. Number 2, he's the type of person that would step on anybody to get his way, right? And being that much of an egomaniac, what he's done is the people that put him in place by doing so much to him, he wants to turn around and do it to other people, but also decide to get the original people back. That ain't gonna work. You're not God. So that's why his ass is sitting in jail. Hopefully they don't allow him to take himself out. Hopefully whoever decides to take him out, they make it slow, they make it painful, and they make sure that we all know about it. That's what I'm hoping.
How do you think the industry, entertainment, not even music, but entertainment industry right now is feeling?
It's a sigh of relief for a lot of people. I mean, we from the West Coast. We know how we feeling right now. We glad, because he definitely did this, 100%. That man is the reason why this man ain't here, period, point blank. Everybody out here knows that.
Yep.
We've been knowing that from the beginning. It's nothing new. That's one of the main reasons why I hated him before I even knew him. Cause it's just, I'm from Compton, man. It's all in the streets. It's been in the streets since it happened. So the fact that he's been able to operate for this long, just running wild without any type of remorse, any type of anything, it just shows, man. When people say, oh, you sold your soul to the devil, this is how these type of people go out.
It just hit me. I don't know if you thought about this, either one of you. Keefy D gets arrested about a year ago out here in Vegas. They're already allegedly doing this whole investigation on Diddy, but all of a sudden Diddy gets arrested. Are we gonna add things up right here?
You know what I think? I think it's gonna come out at some point. We will know exactly how all of this happened before it's over. And like I say, look, the streets talk, man. The streets been talking for years. So it's not like it's nothing that any of us have to hide. We know what happened. We know why it happened. Now, I'm being skeptical about some other things too, because you just never know with the type of person that you're dealing with here. This guy's the worst. I have never met a worse human being in my life on any level, period, point blank. He's the worst. And I've said that from the time that I met him. Every single time that I've been around that guy, I just hated him. And everybody else too. But because he had the foot on people's necks so bad, nobody really could do anything. And he felt like he was untouchable until he got touched.
Well,
hey.
Touch, I mean, kind of like that, I thought. But
It is what it
I
is.
wonder, in jail, is he Puff, Diddy, or Love?
Better not be Love.
I wonder what his little buddies call him.
I don't think he should use none of them names. He should say, I'm Sean.
Nah, you Love. Come here, boy. You got that oil with you? I know you brought some up in here.
Look, listen. We making jokes. Everybody's been making jokes about it. And I think it's because most people hate the guy. But in no way are we trying to minimize the damage that this human has done to people. Cassie is the tip of the iceberg. The things that I believe that the things that I've heard are in this case that have been proven now with the discovery that has been found around this dude. Like I said, man, he's ruined a lot of people's lives. So yeah, we laugh at it. We're laughing in a celebratory attitude because we're standing with you guys. We are not laughing at you. We're happy that this fool is about to suffer. And you know, kudos to every single person that came out and told the truth about what their experience was with this guy. And I encourage everybody else that's ever been harmed by the dude, come out and say it. Now is the time.
And shout out to Cassie, right, for coming out. He said she is the top of the iceberg. Because
Yeah.
really, if she didn't file that lawsuit, it probably wouldn't have gotten as deep as it has now.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think too now with the publishing of Kim Porter's memoir and the things in that's just probably going to be used as evidence. And then Lord knows what artists that he took advantage of that's going to come out.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
I mean,
I'm a skeptic. I didn't see Kim write that. Did you?
no, I never had any interaction with Kim.
That's what I'm saying. So maybe she did, maybe she didn't. I don't know. I don't know anything about that. I know that if somebody was to ask me if she died from natural causes or if she died from something diabolical, I'm going to say the latter.
You know, I thought about that with Andre Harrell too.
Quite
Since, I mean,
possible.
he came in with Uptown, brought him in.
Quite
How we
possible.
left. I mean,
Quite possible. Did
So-
you ever think about that with Big Papa?
I know, but the streets were talking about it though. Like that was one of the things that it was set up because if you look at Biggie's, the rental he had was what, that Escalade, that Suburban or whatever, that big truck. That was the only one with a Bad Boy sticker on it. So and this was like that's the mark. Like
Hey, man.
I'm just there.
I don't know. I don't know that. The things that I know are the things. I know this. I don't know about that. But is it possible? If somebody
Absolutely.
told me it was the truth, if it was proven tomorrow, I would not be surprised.
Look at everybody associated with Uptown though. Andre, Kim, Heavy D, and then look at Albie Shore. You know what I'm saying? Like now, Albie, he was in a coma and he came out of it, but people thought he was crazy. But I mean, he came out.
Dude's been saying this for years.
And he had been for years, and he was writing an autobiography talking about it, and all of a sudden he gets sick. So everybody that's been around him in a position like the people with Uptown and people, they all end up dead, or harmed in a way that is unconscionable.
Yeah.
I mean, there was a time there when, you know, this guy had hands-on judges, he had hands-on cops, he was just kind of free to reign to do whatever he wanted to do. And when you get in that position, you have to respect the position that you're in. But that's an egomaniac.
Yeah.
You got too big for your britches. And when you cross people at that level, it's very easy for them to get you back.
I think you said it earlier at lunch when we were just talking about it. And people bring up Jay-Z, but Jay-Z hasn't crossed anybody, like you said.
I mean, man, Jay-Z ain't invited. Is Jay-Z? Well, I don't know why people keep talking about Jay-Z. Like, does Jay-Z bring people to his house and film them and don't tell them that? Like, what is this whole Jay-Z connection about? Like, what is
because
this?
Because they were boys. And because they're boys, because if you did something,
Y'all act like Jay-Z has done nothing shady.
No, I'm not saying whether he has.
I'm not saying that. I don't think you videotape people having sex.
Yeah, why is he continuously implicated in this puffy shit? That's what I think
because
understand.
when they asked him when he met Beyonce, she was 16 and he was like 27 or whatever it was.
That's a lie.
But it was that's when they met, not when they started dating. And that's when they said.
So what?
He was like, I met her in the studio when she was singing like a rapper, and I was like this is cool. Like it's literally in an interview.
We all met them when they was that age because that's the age they were when they came in the industry.
Yeah.
Well,
My boys, Rashawn and Rashad Miles, the twins, were their dancers on their first tour. We met them when we picked them up at the airport.
And they was kids. Did you do something wrong to any of them? No. Because Matthew Knowles would have blew your head off anyway. So you wasn't going to do nothing to Beyonce or any. So all of this just extra ancillary stuff is the part that I hate about all of this.
Yeah.
Because what it does is it takes the whole, he's the subject.
Yep.
Sean Combs is the subject. Can we let him be the subject? Can we focus our attention on ridding ourselves of the devil walking the earth? Can we all join hands for a second and rid ourselves of a literal satanic individual who's been able to just run around destroying people's lives for years and years and years? Can we get on one accord and do that before we start moving to Jay-Z and this person and that person? Like, dude did a lot of wrong. Let's get that done first. I understand Cat Williams got everybody believing that everybody's just, I get it. I watched it too. We don't know all that yet. I ain't seen Jay-Z arrested. Have you?
Not Cat ain't been wrong so far.
Okay, cool. But the feds ain't ran up in Jay-Z house and taken nothing that I've seen. I don't think Jay-Z's in a jail right now, do you?
Nah.
Are there 17, 18, 19 sexual lawsuits out against Jay-Z? I haven't heard none of that.
No.
So my point is, can we just focus for a second? Can we rid our planet of this disease and then move on?
Take that.
Come on, man. Look, dude is diabolical. Dude is demonic. He's evil. Needs to suffer. Let's be happy that he is suffering as we speak. Man don't even want to eat, right?
No, I hope his celly is on them sparks like Uncle Shay Shay with Michelle.
He just couldn't leave without saying that. All right.
You gonna take this? Michelle, you gonna take this?
All right, guys.
No, straight up, look, listen, man, listen, this is what we got to say to you. We hope you rot in jail. We hope you never get out. We hope you suffer every single minute that you have left on this earth. And we happy they got your punk ass. You bitch. I hate you.
All right, y'all. We got to get out of here because the boys is getting rowdy. We'll see y'all next week. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, y'all. Peace out.
Live and direct from the new planet Earth, where pandemics are plenty, but the girls are still pretty in fashionable dresses. You know what I'm talking about. Where ignorance is bliss.